Alright, so this is our second video on Brazilian Jiu Jitsu core concepts brought to you by Island Top Team. And we're talking about, in the last video, the concept of separating a person's upper body from their lower body, and we're doing that to do with a guard pass. So I want to get into that a little bit more, the idea of how important it is to separate the upper body from the lower body, why we're doing it, and then what we're going to follow it up with. So, Brad, if you're just on your back for a second. So one of the most important things to understand is that Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and grappling fundamentally is very, very simple. We start throwing a lot of names and techniques, and people get to thinking that it's a complicated thing. And it is complicated in one sense, but in another sense, like I said, it's very, very simple. All I really want to do is make it so that I weaken your body, and probably the best way to weaken your body is to separate your lower body from your upper body. Your legs are very strong. If I can bypass your legs and separate them from your body, get into a position where I occupy the space between your hip and your armpit, that's pretty much my goal. The guy who occupies the space between the hip and the armpit is winning. And then take into another step. Now that I've separated your upper body from your lower body, I want to separate your limbs from your torso. And that's really, if you had to encapsulate Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, that's all we're trying to ever do. I'm trying to get your limbs away from your torso. If your chin is tucked in, I'm trying to get it away from your torso. If your legs are tucked in, I'm trying to get them away from your torso. The longer you extend a lever away, the more mechanical advantage it has. And when we're talking about muscular potential energy, the more coiled my muscles are, the more they're able to explode. When my arms are brought away from my body, you think about how much weight you can hold when your arms are out here as opposed to when they're in here, or how powerful you can be when you're like this, when you're leg pressing, when you're pushing, as opposed to how powerful you can be when your arms are out. So that's what we're always trying to do. Conceptually, anything we're doing in grappling pretty much is designed to defeat the limbs being coiled, so get past the legs and separate the lower body from the upper bodies. Once we interrupt that connection, we're now only dealing with one center of power in the body. So once I bypass the legs, I'm only dealing with the power of his upper body, or if I'm attacking the legs, for instance, it's going to be pretty tough to leg lock a guy when he's here. But once I stretch that leg out, it becomes much, much easier because I've taken it away from his torso. I've taken it away from the rest of his defense. Right? You've seen, I'm sure, heel hooks where people sit up, grab the hand, pull away. That defense is possible simply because his lower body and his upper body are connected, and so they're strong. Once his lower body and upper body are separated, they're weak. And the same goes for here. If I'm trying to armbar him like this is a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea to attack someone when they're in this position. You get side mount, and someone's arms are in here, and you're attacking him, you're making a mistake. You need to separate that arm, you need to separate this arm, and that is the next evolution of that core concept of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, which is you're trying to separate the person's upper body from their lower body, and you're trying to separate their limbs from their torso to affect weakness. Alright? Again, this Brazilian Jiu Jitsu core concept is brought to you by Island Top Team, islandtopteam.com. If you're in the 9 BC, come check us out. Okay.